G'day guys, events have been a part of Don't Starve Together going back to its early years, and now that we've had a dozen of them, I thought it'd be fun to rank them from worst to best. From discussing this a little with my Twitch chat, I think my opinion on some of these might be a little different from the general consensus, but feel free to let me know how you would rank them in the comments. I counted 12 events in total, and for the events that return across multiple years, I'm counting them as just one whole thing. So without further ado, starting off in last place, it's the Year of the Gobler. I don't think this is very controversial since it was the first Lunar New Year event from all the way back in 2017 and acts as a bit of a test and a bit of a building block for future lunar events to come. As such, it's pretty bare bones. It doesn't really have a mini game, and you get red pouches with lucky gold nuggets by allowing gobblers to eat berries off the floor. It does introduce some traditional Lunar New Year items that return in subsequent events, as well as an exclusive lucky fan item, which is like a hybrid luxury fan and weather pane with less uses than either. There's unfortunately no statue from this event, although whether or not you'd want a statue of a gobbler is up for debate. It does introduce the giblet pet, although as cute as it may be, it is one of the most annoying critters. If you never play this event, you're probably not missing out on much. Coming in 11th is the next Lunar New Year event, the Year of the Varg. This time the minigame is a little bit more fleshed out. You follow suspicious dirt piles for a chance to uncover a Klei Varg and its army of Klei hounds. Staying close to the Varg will activate them, and defeating them all will give you a handful of red pouches. This event does come with a statue, two in fact, and they are actually some of the better ones across the lunar events. There's also a lucky whistle you can buy which can make normal or Klei hounds friendly for a limited period of time. It's not the most useful item, but it is a fun gimmick, I guess. This is also one of the few events that comes with its own skins, and the collection features some really nice outfits. I particularly like Wilson, Wolfgang and Wendy's sets from this one, and who could forget the adorable purebred and pedigree Vargling skins. I think there's a bit of a jump in quality from the first two events to this one, but I still have the Year of the Bunnyman pretty far back in the list since there's not a whole lot to it. Building the shrine will summon a Bunnyman slumber party, and while it's fun to see the bunnies messing around with each other and playing spin the carrot, it's just for looks. You can't really join in. If you hit the bunnies with a pillow, they don't react. If you hit them with anything else, they leave. If you pick up the carrot, they also leave. You just get to watch basically. In order to participate in the event, you need to build a pillow fight pit and challenge Bunnymen by giving them a glove. There are 4 sets of pillows and pillow armor you can equip yourself with to help you out, but I honestly found it quite hard to lose, even with the most basic pillows and with 9 Bunnymen in the arena. There are some nice prizes you can claim with the winnings. There are a handful of really great dishes, so great that they were actually nerfed to be more expensive. There's a statue, a nightcap and 2 lamps. One major issue that I have with this event is that it's bugged out more often than it actually works. The Bunnymen always get stuck in the spin the carrot game and end up just chanting spin forever until you hit them so they leave. Sometimes you don't even get paid for fighting in the pit. Stealing the hairball causes them to get stuck. Real Bunnymen don't understand the difference between fighting with pillows and weapons, which is also a bit disappointing. Overall, the Year of the Bunnyman is a perfectly fine event when it works. And I would probably use similar terms to describe the Year of the Pig King. I have it ahead in 9th place because it does have one of the more entertaining minigames where you get to smack the ever-living shit out of the pig fighters or even other players, all for lucky gold nuggets. With these nuggets you can buy 3 new dishes, including the Tribute Roast, which has the same stats as a meaty stew, and an 8 treasure mud pie, which can't be eaten but will make a pig fully loyal if given to one. The Year of the Pig King also comes with its own skin collection, and it has some decent items in there too. This event is also a bit different in the sense that it's still kinda active even if it's not turned on. When the event is active, pigs have a 50% chance to carry a golden belt, which you need to start the minigame, but outside of the event, they still have a 1% chance of wearing one, and you can still give them to Pig King. Completing the minigame outside of the event gives you regular gold nuggets instead of the lucky ones, but you also get clout snouts, which you can use to summon the pig warrior dudes for a very short time. It's kinda pointless, but also kinda cool. Next we have the Year of the Catcoon. This event has you running around the world looking for 8 Catcoons hiding in 8 different biomes. This can take a really long time, not to mention you have to travel to the moon to get one of the Catcoons. You can hire a tycoon to help you locate these kitties and return them to the Catcoon nursery, but the best part of this event is that you can bring those adorable kitties on adventures with you. The Catcoons basically act as critters that don't need to be fed, and the tycoon can even join in combat, although it has very little health and tends to die more often than it helps. It's the thought that counts, as they say. The minigame for this event involves you playing hide and seek with the Catcoons in the nursery. The more that you manage to find, the more red pouches you'll collect. And with your winnings you can of course buy nice toys for your kittens. I mean, what else would you rather do with your money? You can also buy a collar that allows you to name your little friends, and 2 statues, one of which is too tall. And now we have our first recurring event in Hallowed Nights. I tried to justify putting this one higher on the list, and then after realizing how much I didn't like about the event, I thought about putting it lower, but in the end I've got it sitting somewhere around the middle. Hallowed Nights has been around for a while. It was actually the very first event in Don't Starve Together, dating back to 2016, yet today it's probably more anticipated for its skin collections than its actual gameplay. When the event is active, the world will be littered with Halloween trinkets, which you can donate to Pig King in exchange for a bunch of candy. There are 14 different types of candy you can get, and they each give you a tiny amount of health, sanity, or hunger. There's also a candy bag with a convenient 14 slots to carry them all. This is all well and good, but eventually you've collected all the candy you want, and it starts to look a lot like junk. I normally try to avoid turning in my frazzled wires during this time because I just don't want to have to pick up candy for half an hour, and if I do need to, I just let nearby pigs or beggar eat them. This event also features one of my least favorite game mechanics, the totally normal bats. During Hallowed Nights, chopping any tree has a chance of spawning a bunch of bats that cause you to lose 10 sanity. Chopping down a handful of trees can easily leave you insane. Thankfully, there is a solution to this, although they did create the problem themselves, so I don't know if I should give them props for that. And it involves crafting potions from the Mad Scientist Lab, which is kinda cool. The phobic experiment lets you chop in peace for a short time, but there are 5 other experiments that range from meh to kinda cool. My favorites have to be the Arboretum experiment, which lets you plant a totally normal tree, and the Lunar experiment, which allows you to change some items or creatures into their lunar counterparts. Totally normal trees can also be adorned with any of the 6 Halloween decorations, which is a nice touch as well. You can find these around the world, and you can also find pumpkin set pieces complete with pumpkin lanterns, which you can use for about 10 minutes until they rot. And that is pretty much what Hallowed Nights has been like for the last handful of iterations. What does change year to year though are the skin collections. And I know skins are super important to some people and not super important to others, and I'm more on the not super important side, but there are a lot of skins for Hallowed Nights. Besides Wanda, each character has their own set, and there are a bunch of belongings as well, including some of the most sought after items like the Creepy Cauldron, which is still selling on Steam for about $10. Since this is a recurring event, I'm still hopeful that Hallowed Nights will become more than it is today, but for now, I'm happy where it sits on the list. This might be a bit of a contentious pick, but I've got the Year of the Carrot next. Out of all of the lunar events, it has one of the more fleshed out mini games that is not only entertaining initially, but you can incorporate it easily into late game builds as well. The game here is carrot racing. You adopt a little carrot and then race it along a track that you can build however you like, and it goes without saying that the better you do in the race, the more lucky gold nuggets you win. And with these nuggets you can purchase various gym equipment to train up your races. You can play solo against Charlie's own carrots, or you can race against your friends if you wish. Either way, it's fairly entertaining. There's a nice carrot statue you can buy, as well as 2 types of koi, which can be fished out of the ocean during any lunar event. I really had a lot of fun with this one and probably spent the most amount of time with this event than any of the other lunar events. I also like to think that the carrot gym was the inspiration for Wolfgang's gym. It's just a funny mental image, but I would definitely recommend checking this out if you missed it. And now for the best lunar event, it has to be the Year of the Beefalo. And funnily enough, it's not really because of any of the festivities. This event introduced the Beefalo Bell, which allows you to bond with a beefalo of your choice, give them a name, and have them follow you anywhere as long as you have the bell on you, even into the caves, which was something unheard of at the time. The actual event itself is also quite fleshed out and involves a beefalo beauty pageant. The judge, who you might recognize from the trade-in, describes a very particular beefalo, and you have to determine which one he's talking about while the Jeopardy thinking music plays. If you get it right, you get a big red pouch, and if you don't, you get a smaller one. You also get a bunch of pattern scraps equal to the amount of contestants. And you can build as many beefalo stages as you like, competing with just your beefalo or with your friends and their beefalos too. Merms and pigs will fill up the empty stages with their beefalos, and they will also vote and comment on the contestants, which is glorious. With the pattern scraps you win, you can make different costumes for your beefalo at the sewing machine, and after learning the recipes, you also get a little doll that corresponds to each costume. The judge can give you an idea of what each costume will look like, but you can also just see it on your beefalo by hitching it to the grooming station and dressing it up. And this can be done outside of the event too, so you can dress up your beefalo however you like, whenever you want. And yes, there is a beefalo statue as well if you feel like having a beefalo's face in your base. Even though it arrives in the middle of winter here in Australia, I'm still happy to put the Midsummer Cornival in at 4th place. And it does what it says on the tin. It's a carnival, complete with 6 different arcade style games and a prize booth full of trinkets. I don't think any of the arcade games are particularly amazing, but as a package deal, they're great. Out of the 6, Hubbub for Grub and Eggs in a Basket are probably my favourites, but they're all okay, except for Egg Scramble, which is annoying. But I really like the vibe of this event compared to the previous ones. It feels like a community builds around the carnival tree as you add more games and decorations. More crow kids start to hang around and watch the games or amuse themselves with the little toys and trinkets. The tree starts to become more ornate as you go, and you can see the crows wandering around eating some of the carnival food that you can also grab from the prize booth. And a lot of the items you can acquire just look nice in base design. It's not uncommon to see the trees themselves used as centerpieces or decoration around a build. There's also a carnival collection of nice skins, and as this event is only a few years old, I'm expecting it to continue to grow, and in time it may even break into my top 3. And speaking of which, in 3rd place I've got the Gorge. Man, this event was something special. Up until this point of the list, most of the events have had some kind of mini game you could enjoy as a distraction from the normal Don't Starve experience. The Gorge literally takes you out of the Don't Starve world and puts you in another realm entirely, where there is no health, hunger or sanity. There's no temperature, or seasons, or hounds, or anything like that. You gotta cook some food and feed it to a giant deity, or else you get turned into a merm. That's pretty much it. And it sounds simple enough, but there are 70 different dishes you can make, and only 4 of those even exist in the normal game. To go with this, you get a brand new kitchen essentially, complete with 2 cook pots, an oven, 2 grills, and you better believe you're serving these dishes on the fanciest plates and bowls you've ever seen. The Reap What You Sow update for Don't Starve Together was one of the biggest changes the game has seen in recent years, and the inspiration for that update came from the Gorge. Here is where we were first introduced to garlic, onions, potatoes, and toma roots. Even the way that you grow them by tilling the soil. But then on top of that you have turnips, wheat, flour, salt, sap, syrup, spices, salmon, crab meat, meat scraps, and even goat milk. And on top of all of that, the game mode even has lore significance and comes with its own trailer. It has multiple NPC characters, including a goat mother and an elder pig. It has terrific backing music, which becomes super stressful when the timer gets close to the end. It has probably my favorite skin collection of all time, which was so good they added a part 2, even though the gorge was long gone by that point. And really, that's the ultimate tragedy here. All of this was created for just 1 month in 2018. Just 1 month we had to enjoy this game mode. I personally still have a little bit of hope that we will see the gorge again, or at least some more of its concepts, dishes or items making it into the main game, but in the meantime there's always the mod if you want to experience it for yourself. When you think about events in Don't Starve Together, the first thing that comes to mind for most people would have to be Winter's Feast. Even though we're up to our 7th iteration of it, it still never fails to get me up and about. And unlike Hallowed Nights, which has been around for as many years, Winter's Feast has not only changed the game in a significant way, but it's grown in scope over the journey. For starters, you have the tree. It's so simple, but it's always fun to sleep under it and get presents that range from junk to really valuable items like a pan flute or gems. Creatures and bosses you kill during this event drop festive foods or ornaments you can use to further decorate the tree. The original 4 bosses even get a cool reskin, and Deerclops gets a laser beam, which is always fun to fight. And speaking of bosses, Winter's Feast is where we were first introduced to Claus, who is, if not everyone's favourite boss, he has got to be in the top 3 best bosses in the game. The fight is fun, the loot is great, the music is awesome, and during Winter's Feast you can fight him every 20 days. Gift wrap becomes available during this time as well, which is basically free bundling wrap. There's a giant oven you can build to craft festive dishes from around the world like panettone, and then display them on little tables to eat with your friends. This update just spreads so much cheer, even literally. There are gingerbread pigs you can follow that lead you to little villages or vargs made of gingerbread that you can kill for festive cheer. These go into making those dishes I just mentioned. And of course, Winter's Feast comes loaded with skin collections with both the Snowfallen and Merrymaker collections, and to top it all off, every common skin that you would have gotten during this update is replaced with a Winter's Feast chest that contains 4 cosmetic items of varying quality. It was hard not to put this event at number 1, but ultimately I had to go with the Forge. I still remember the hype when the Forge first came out. We had never seen anything like this in Don't Starve before, and everyone who was playing the game was playing the Forge. In fact, both seasons of the Forge resulted in all-time peaks in plays for Don't Starve Together. Such was the madness that this brought. For those of you who have never heard of the Forge before, you're essentially thrown into an arena and tasked with fighting waves of creatures of growing difficulty until you either die or emerge victorious. And with a maximum of 6 players, this game is no easy feat. You need pretty much every player to know what they're doing if you're going to stand a chance. And combat is more involved in the Forge than it is in regular Don't Starve. Characters are split into 4 different specialties: melee, darts, staves, and books, with most characters being able to wield a few of these, but not all. When you enter the Forge, you begin with the most basic weapon for your class, and you can find more as you make your way through the waves of enemies. These weapons deal different amounts of damage, but each weapon has its own special attack as well that comes with a cooldown. Depending on what class of weapon it is, this could be a powerful volley of arrows or a circle of healing flowers. Your clothing doesn't act as a pool of finite health like pretty much all armor normally does, but instead provides you with different benefits based on what you wear, such as varying amounts of damage reduction, faster cooldowns, knockback resistance, quicker movement, and more. So you can really build up your character based on their strengths. And when you add in the roster of players, each with their own unique abilities, you have a really interesting game with a lot of replayability. There's also XP that you can build across your attempts and achievements that help you level up and get war chests full of cosmetics for every level. Like the Gorge, this event came with a trailer, it came with banging music and one of the best skin collections in the game, and like the Gorge, it was gone far too soon. At least with this one we did get a season 2 where they added a few extra rounds and some really tough enemies at the end, but it's still very sad that it's gone. As it stands, there is the Reforged mod, which does a great job of keeping game mode alive, and they've even added a bunch of extra content like Red Light, Green Light and Hallowed Forge modes, but it's just not quite the same as the original. One silver lining to come out of this event and its popularity is that Klei has been building a spiritual successor, Rotwood, because of it. I've already played a bunch of the small playtests we've received and it is every bit as fun as the Forge was in my opinion. And that takes us to the end of the list. Feel free to let me know if you would have made any changes to the ranking. I'd love to hear your reasoning in the comments, or if you agree with mine, I'd very much like to hear that too. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Appreciate it very much. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.